What's up, creators? In this episode number 10 of the Web3 Creators Podcast, we interview Asaf Naim from Kirobo, and we speak about how to identify when to pivot when you're building a startup. We also speak about the future of DeFi, smart contracts, and we go in depth into their brand new product on Kirobo, which is called Future Conditional Transactions. So stick to the end. This is going to be a great one. So see you inside.
You're listening to the Web3 Creators Podcast, where we speak to the brightest minds and builders in crypto, DeFi, NFTs, and the metaverse. Our goal is to give you the absolute best tools for building a thriving business in the Web3 space. Now, here's your host, Hernan Arber. Let's start creating.
Hello, creators. Welcome to a new episode of the Web3 Creators Podcast. In this episode, I am joined by none other than Asaf Naim from Kirobo. And we are going to go on to very nice stuff for and what stands in the future of smart contract development. So this is super interesting. Asaf, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
All right, this is amazing. So, Asaf, before we get into Kirobo and what you guys are building, I want to dig into your personal story and find out what drives you, what's your background. So, can you drive me a bit backward, maybe even before Web3?
Yeah. So in my background, professional background, I'm an accountant. I have a master's degree in taxation. Taught myself how to program, establish few technology company, and this is how I came across blockchain way back in 2013, and really enter in 2017.
Right. So what were you programming back then? What were you coding back then?
Only apps and website apps, stuff like that. Not Solidity. I'm not a Solidity developer, by the way. I do understand a lot, but not a developer.
So is Kirobo your first venture in blockchain and Web3, were you already doing some ventures before?
It's my second venture in blockchain, but no, the first one that got so big.
Nice, good to know. And so how did you? First of all, I want to get to the story about what got you to found Kirobo, and I want us to dig a bit deeper into the whole story, right? Not just the current product, because I think what you guys are doing now, and when you decided to pivot, I think that the explaining the background for that is going to give our audience a lot of tools to better understand, how a company evolves, and that it's not just, okay, this is the idea, this is how we do it, we build, and here it is to the world, right? People think it's like a straight line. So how did Kirobo start? Bring us back really to the basics and what was the idea behind it?
So as I said, I was an accountant, master degree in taxation, taught myself how to program, and a friend asked me to establish the crypto division, his tax boutiques boutique office. And then there is a few client that one of them lost his access to his seed phrase, and the other one sent crypto to their own address. So I started to dig into that, and they want to report losses. So I started dig into that, and then I realized that there is no good solution for that. Mm-hmm. So we created the Kirobo, and we built three products. The first one was an undo button. Everyone knows us because of this undo button. So if I send money to their own address, I can retrieve the money back. And second was backup, and the third, inheritance. So this is the kind of product that we build. We become big, a lot of user. The undo button handle $1.8 billion, 15,000 Kiro, our token holders. And then we start to realize how we are going to gain market fit. Um, Basically, we understand that we don't have market fit. We saw that other companies with similar technology, for example, let's take Gnosis, they build an on-chain wallet. So we saw that because of one feature, a lot of people approach using them, and then we understand that it's only B2B business for security, and for B2C, the client actually wants to make money. That's it. Simple as that. Like, brutal as I can. So, and if we are bring him
Basic utility crypto.
exactly. So if we bring in backup and inheritance, this is could be very appealing to someone new that I don't know, just examine the market. And the undo button is very scary. And again, people do a lot of mistakes, even me sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes. We do understand that it's not a market fit. It's not something that people wait for, people use. It's a feature. It's nice to have. It's not going to create million of user that will use the technology, even though it's an on-chain wallet and you can trade from this wallet. You connect with the wallet, with the on-chain wallet, to dApps and whatever you can. Now,
When did you what got you to the point? If you had value locked investors and users in using that feature of the undo, what drove you to the point where you said, okay, yes, we have some users, but I don't see that this is what's going to propel us as a company. What made that true?
so we understand that the undo button, for example, by the way, we build the undo button also for Bitcoin. And we understand that Bitcoin, just to give you a comparison, the Bitcoin system handled $10,000 versus Ethereum $1.8 billion. So we saw that the user doesn't use that as we thought. So this is why we switched to Ethereum. And then Ethereum, in order to grow, you need to close deal with B2B. And to close deal with B2B, it's they didn't want to work on Ethereum because it's too expensive for a payment provider, for example, the gas fee. Exchanges doesn't want solution that is only on one network. Even other EVM, it's in the Ethereum and Binance chain. So other EVM, they want the entire the entire solution for Bitcoin and other coins. And to be honest, we didn't see it grow as we thought. We do believe that it's a key feature for businesses. So, for example, we sign with JK8 in order to integrate the undo button inside their system. So it's very appealing system for banks and custodian and other company that actually onboarding customer, but we didn't see the market fit on B2C, and we do have a coin. So if we're B2B, there is no need for the coin. They don't care about decentralization. And if it's decentralized and we want to do something with B2C, so this is maybe there is a need for a coin, not everything, not every time. Now, I just want to make clear, we never opened the company in order to create the undo button. The backup and inheritance was the first thing that we thought it's very important. The undo button, we said, okay, what happened if someone set up inheritance and then it's triggered by mistake? So we said, okay, let's create like a second stage that you can retrieve the money back. And then we realized that it's like a whole product. So we sat in a coffee place and say, okay, what can we bring to the market in the next 3 months? We understand the on-chain wallet is very, very big. So this is what we did. We work on the undo button, and we are famous for that. But again, this is what we understand 18 months ago. And then we decided to pivot. So the process of the pivot was, it was like mind-blowing and light opening, because we understand that user only wants to make money. That's it. This is what we understand. And then we start to think of ideas. So we stopped the development, the marketing for a week, and we sit in the office, everyone bringing ideas. We bring like few, I think it was like 22 different ideas that we can do. And then we narrowed out this idea until we got to one very good idea. And then we said, okay, how much time it will take? And it was a few months, I think 5 months or so. So he said, okay, 5 months, like, the burning rate is $250,000. So it's almost $1.5 million, 5 months. And, it's never 5 months. If it's 5 months, it's 7, 8. And then we said, wow. And then we said, wow, and this is amazing product. People can make a lot of money with their product. So we said, okay, scratch that. Let's continue search. And then we have another 3 ideas. And the short time the estimate time was 4 to 8 months.
So let me get this straight. You decided we need to pivot, and you decided that without having clarity on what the pivot is going to go to. It's not like you came up with this idea and then you said, okay, now this is what we're going to do, but rather you understood fundamentally that where the ship is going, it's not going to take us to where we want to go.
It's not going to bring us to the first 10 coin.
And then you started to brainstorm.
And then we understand that the user only wants to make money. And then we start to think how we are going to help him making money. So this is what we did.
Did you help? Did you get all the core team in the room? Did you make a war room with your developers, with your co-founders, with all the company? How did you source that idea that has now become the FCT?
So we use a few methods. There is a method on how to do that, to eliminate the person desire. I don't want to go too technical, but there is a few articles about that. So basically, this is how we did that. Obviously, we consider the pivot with the existing technology. We didn't want to throw everything because we have an amazing technology, and to us, it was obvious that it's going to be much faster to pivot with the same technology just to find the market fit. The technology is good. We need to find the market fit. That's it. And we realized that user only want to make money. So this is the first step to understand to what to pivot to. And then I understand, again, I go back. So basically we understand that it's 4 to 8 months. And again, I'm like 5 years in the blockchain today. It's never 4 months. It's never 8 months. It's much more. So I called my friend, other CEO in the industry. And I said, I was frustrated. And I said, hey, guys, like we have an amazing idea. It's going to take like 4 to 5 months. Like, this is like, you feel the same. So this is, of course, this is the blockchain. It's not Web 2. You understand? So, and then it was an amazing moment because I said, what if we can solve that? Everyone tried to scale the blockchain like layer 2. They tried to scale the blockchain. So, but what about scaling in layer 2, in Starknet, in other layer 2s? You still need to build the smart contract, audit, think about all the all the different options that you want, and basically narrow down to the actual, the minimum viable logic in order to start the project going, and then if you want to upgrade, so it's another problem if you already has customer. So it's a huge process, but no one scaled the development process. So they scale the how many transaction I can do, but not the development process. So we start to think how we can do that. And it was like, I think that I slept 2 hours at these 3 weeks of the brainstorming, because every day we figure out another puzzle and another puzzle and another puzzle and piece of the puzzle. And then we understand that basically the logic, most of the logic is basically the same. I want to compare something, I want to validate something, I want to multiply something. So we start to characterize the logic into sections that we can do every time. And then we said, okay, so let's create smart transaction. This is how we call that, smart transaction. Like smart contract, let's do smart transaction. So, and then we realized that basically we can create smart transaction. We call it today FCT, Future Conditional Transaction, that have the logic inside of the transaction, but it can basically achieve everything that you can on the smart contract level with the transaction. But instead of wasting 4 months, $250,000 on something that you cannot change or you don't want to change, you can build something that is like on the transaction level. You can do it if we are going to provide you the SDK, so you can do it in Web 2 speed. You understand? You can do it like in 3 days. And again, and we built 4 calls. The call, it's an action call, validation call, calculation call, and gather to get information call. Each one of them is like a unique smart contract. And then we develop a smart contract that basically takes specific transaction, decode it and encrypt it and decrypt that to something that the blockchain will understand. But then we see another problem. Like when you sign transaction on Uniswap, you don't know what you sign. It's like you look at the data. It's like look like something that no one knows. You just rely on Uniswap. If you send regular transaction, you know exactly what you sign. But if you sign on smart contracts, so you can. So we said like, but other people will use that and they will build like a lot of transaction. If no one knows what this transaction will do, no one will use that. You understand? So then we see the 712 EIP 712 on the messages, and then we said, okay, let's put this message in the transaction, but it doesn't work because the message is converted differently than action on the transaction. So we had to only this problem took us 2 months to solve, and then we solved it in a way that you don't even realize that it's possible. But basically it's possible. So now when you sign transaction, you basically see exactly what you sign. You have and you know we even look on we said like what happened if someone will sign transaction and then the contract that basically encrypt and decrypt the transaction, someone upgrade this. and then what he signed is not even the same. So we look on upgrading, the diamond upgrade. It was very sophisticated, but it's not enough. So basically, we invented a new upgrade mechanism. Basically, that you have like the version like you used to in regular software. So you have the version. So if you sign a transaction, it can only be run on specific version. And if you have another version, you need to recreate the transaction. So you don't need to trust no one. This is so this is the process of how to create it. So we end up with a technology that allow you to do on the transaction level everything that you can do on the smart contract level. So it's not going to replace completely the smart contract, because sometimes you want smart contract on specific level. But imagine that you build like the basic smart contract, and then the logic you add on top of that transaction. Now to the customer, he doesn't see that. It's a transaction generated, but and for example, you can create 500 different transactions, and if you choose this option, it will generate this transaction. If you put this option, it will generate this transaction. And in this way, basically, you can develop on Web3 in the same speed of Web2, and you can change on the fly. And this is and it was amazing to see.
So it's like smart contract upgradability and kind of
it's not smart contract, it's smart transaction. So let's say that you spot arbitrage on Uniswap and SushiSwap, right? So you want to take a loan from Aave, buy on Uniswap, sell on SushiSwap, you create this transaction, amazing. Now you see that it doesn't work. So you say, okay, what I need to consider more? So you see that you need to consider the size of the pool. Okay, so you add a new transaction, take from Uniswap, Aave, buy on Uniswap, on SushiSwap, and consider the size of the pool. Now you understand that it doesn't work. You need to consider the front bot, and you need to consider the slippage, and you need to consider the interest. So you can add this on the fly very, very fast, and then you can deploy it till you have what you want. And what we discover with that, in most logic is if then. Here you need to think differently. It's not if then, it's then if. For example, you want to create arbitrage, so you go to Aave and you take loan. How much loan you take? I don't know, $1 million, $2 million, 500. Who cares? You take the loan, buy on Uniswap, sell on SushiSwap. But who said that you take the right loans? So here on the transaction level, you can say, okay, I want $20,000 profit. And the outcome will be how much loan you need to take. So it's not if then, it's then if, you understand? So it's completely changed the mindset. Now, what was amazing to us to understand, that we understand that you can create CeFi experience in DeFi. For example, let's take an even more. Let's take a limit order. So a limit order on CeFi, you need to lock the top coin. It doesn't cost you anything until the time it's executed. On DeFi, you have like smart contract that you need to lock the coin. You can use you can use Gelato or even Chainlink automation that they can activate the transaction for you. But you need to lock the coin, and the logic is like you need to build a smart contract in order to understand what is the logic. You cannot change or modify the logic. So with FCT, Future Conditional Transaction, you can create the logic. You don't need to lock the coin, and you can still earn money with that with the money that you want to create. So for example, I can provide liquidity on Ether and USDT and take this LP, put it in staking contract, and then I can create limit order on both sides. I can say, okay, if Ether is dropping 1,000, I want you to go to the staking contract, take my reward, claim my LP, put my LP back to the pool, and then switch, I don't know, to convert to USDC. But I can also say that if USDT is losing its patch to the dollar, let's say 2%, do the same action. So the trigger is not only one aspect. I can have 10 different trigger. And when you start to consider the possibility, it's mind-blowing. And just to give you an example, we use our SDK to build a no-code, like drag and drop tool. And in the beginning, you remember, we had an inheritance solution. It took us 18 months to develop the on-chain wallet. And then we create the inheritance, 4 months, $250,000, 438 Solidity lines of code. And then we tried to recreate it with the FCT. It took us 5 minutes. We just check the balance of specific account, add the calculation, like divide 60%, 40%, send this outcome to this address, send this outcome to that address, sign the transaction, and define that it's only valid 5 years from today, and it's cancelable. So basically, 5 minutes versus 4 months is $250,000. And when I saw that, this is the first time that I realized what we actually built.
No, this is truly amazing, Asaf. And just for we've spoken a lot about DeFi, but I also see the potential future transactions, that conditional aspect of it, to be applied on basically all fields in crypto. So if we would take, for example, NFTs, right? We have a lot of NFT traders. Then what you need, what most NFT flippers do, right? They are constantly inputting the floor of the collection price, right? So let's say that right now the way that NFTs works is that I just buy an NFT and I hope it goes up in value, but there's no way to place like a stop limit on an NFT, right? If the floor is going down. So I imagine the use case for FCTs, like maybe, okay, listen, I bought this NFT at half an Ethereum, so now I could place an FCT, and correct me if I'm wrong, that says, listen, you have to monitor the floor price of the collection. If suddenly the floor price drops by 30, 40%, put that NFT on sale at the specific floor price and then creating kind of a stop limit or a stop loss on your NFTs, or the other way around. You're saying, okay, I want to monitor this collection. If you see that the floor price is rising to 100%, then place some bids on the lowest floor items automatically.
You're absolutely right. But this is like only scratching the surface. Like I can do so many things that I will give you a few examples and you will understand. I can say that I want to monitor the floor price, and if the floor price is dropping, I want to buy and immediately resell that in 30% more. So this is the kind of stuff that I can do. I can create a competition to OpenSea by using OpenSea, when I can create peer-to-peer swap. So, for example, if I want to send you NFT, I can send you NFT, but who guarantee that you will pay me what I want, right? So this is why OpenSea is there. There is no, it's trustless. You need to log the NFT and then someone bid and stuff like that. So I can create FCT without knowing your address, and I can say, okay, the first one that will complete this transaction, he will pay with Ether, USDC, WBTC, I don't care. He is the one that is going to receive this NFT. And then I can create a marketplace like that, and I will reduce the commission. So this is the kind of stuff that you can do. You have peer-to-peer swaps that you can create. You can even create subscription. I can say, okay, every month I want to send you $30. And I can even create, we don't call it multi-sig, it's multi-layer multi-sig. Why? Because, for example, I can have my money on my MetaMask, and I can say that you every month can take $10,000 after that. And I can say that if you and Michael sign together, you can take 50,000, and you can take the entire money if you bring back the money to the same address. So if you, let's say, swap. So this is the kind of stuff that you can do. And this is not money that sits locked somewhere in a smart contract that do multi-sig. It's on your MetaMask. And this is like when you can create, I don't want to say Celsius, but you can create Celsius lookalike on DeFi without touching the customer money. And this is like mind-blowing to me. And this is the kind of stuff that you can do.
So let's try before I also want to mention how you design your token, what the user is it, and if it's been a complexity more than an asset, more than a kind of a okay, now we have this, so and we have to use this. So before that, let's say you are speaking now with a ton of developers on our audience that are trying to build stuff, different niches, different narratives. How would you wrap up the functionality that you're offering in Kirobo to tell them, listen, this is something you must try out, and this will probably save you tons of time. And how would you
Yeah. So what I'm saying that take Uniswap for example. They just launched an NFT. I'm not sure when, but I can pretty certain that these guys start working on that when the market was hot, right? When they launch, the market is dead. So, and this is the problem with the development today. And also, I think that a lot of project or feature are not being developed because the money and the time that it's actually take to do that. And if you are entrepreneur and you want to develop something on Web3, you need to have money. You cannot like walk in out of your garage and build that, because even if you know Solidity, you need someone to audit that. You need so there is a lot of things that you need to do in order to develop on Web3. So the barrier to enter is higher. Now with this technology, if you're a Web3 developer, Web2 developer, you can build in few days what used to take few months. And for example, we add to the system, we add plugin. For example, Uniswap is a plugin, SushiSwap is a plugin, Compounds, Chainlink, whatever. Each one of them is a plugin. But now we are starting to build modules. So, for example, let's say that I'm creating a limit order on Uniswap and SushiSwap and Bancor. So this is a module. You can take this module, like a snapshot of code, and you have this model, and then you can add your logic. For example, let's say I want to create limit order on my LP. So I'm, I don't know, let's say I'm a DAX, and I want to offer my client to say, hey guys, provide liquidity, but you have limit order on your LP. So if the ether is dropping, even if the fees is not enough, you can extract it. And so when I creating that and it's like on the fly in few days, I can add that. We talked with a wallet yesterday, and he actually contacted us because he wants to integrate the inheritance inside. So we said, okay, we are not going to give you SDK to inheritance that we build, but we have SDK for the FCT. You can create your own inheritance. Now he asked how it's work, and once he understands it, so he said, okay, so you mean that I can, in a month, to have competition with the biggest wallet out there, I can add limit order, swap, staking, whatever I can without even touching the smart contract, and I can do it in a month? So I said, yes. And this is like, when you understand that, it's open your eyes, and you understand that now even small wallets can, even achieve more, even the market will be behind them, if you know what I mean. So, So the big wallet that will not use that in the beginning, suddenly they see a small player that is coming from the left, and not even from the right, from the left, and basically achieve more and much faster adoption and option in the platform. So
let's get into left and right because it derives into politics very fast. But listen, there's been a lot of rage with ChatGPT and the new AI and the boiling point that AI has been reaching, right? So have you taken a look into this? Because I do envision some kind of model for future conditional transactions being used through AI, and me just kind of explaining to an AI bot what I want to this smart contract to do and the conditions in place, and maybe it having drawing all the connections and the conditions in place and just deliver kind of the system and the smart contract. How do you foresee? Do you guys envision kind of blending these AI processes into FCTs?
so you asked me a very interesting question. We never share that outside, what I can share. Basically, think about that. Let's understand how FCT works. So FCT is a transaction that you sign, and you broadcast this transaction to a decentralized location like IPFS, and there is a network of activators that take this transaction and they check the condition offline. And if the condition offline basically met to the condition on chain, they will push the transaction to the blockchain. There's a publish. Now, if they push and the condition is not met on chain, the transaction will fail. So they will lose money because they paid the transaction for you. You pay them with our token if you are not Israeli or US citizen. So,
Yeah.
so, so basically, you don't even need Ether in order to create FCT. You simply create FCT. It doesn't cost you a dime, and you only pay when execute. Now, the activator take the transaction, pay the transaction for you once they broadcast to the blockchain, and they get pay with Kirobo. So far, so good. Now, question. Imagine that, 500 protocol use us, and they take and by the way, they don't need to use Kirobo. They can do it behind the scene, so their customer doesn't even know that it's Kirobo and Kirobo and everything. So imagine that 500 protocol used us. There is a lot of transaction, limit order, buying, sell, option, derivatives, all the stuff that now you start to think and you understand that you can do with the FCT. And then instead of Ether scan, you will have FCT scan. And now you can create order book on the entire blockchain. You can create order book on things that are going to happen soon. And this is amazing because, the blockchain is like right now, like I signed the transaction, broadcasted the transaction.
Yeah, you don't can have an insight into the future or what the market.
You have it on CeFi, but now you will have that, and this is the big vision. Like people will see the FCT scan, they will start create AI that will understand what to do, and then they will take this AI, put the data on chain, and then they will start building an FCT that take this data and then create other FCTs. So this is the kind of stuff that I believe that this is the future.
So let's get a bit into Q. And before we mention anything around tokens, guys, the disclaimer: this is not financial advice. You must do your own research, and the whole disclaimers that are good for this apply always on all our episodes. Let's talk about the Q token, because what interests me here most is, first of all, how do you build it as a foundational part of the platform? And the other thing I want to understand is you had the token before you made the pivot, right? So you had the Kiro token before you guys decided to change the product. Now, how do you integrate an existing token that used to have a certain utility and make it an integral part of another system without just saying, listen, we have a token, so we need to find a way to use it, but you actually ingrain it into the system as an integral part.
Yeah, so the FCT technology didn't come from out of nowhere. Basically, when we create a backup, it was we have an on-chain wallet. So you open a wallet, let's say with your MetaMask, and then you have your MetaMask that control the on-chain wallet, and then you can connect your ledger and create a backup. And you can say that if the MetaMask doesn't enter to the vault, this is what we build, then the ledger will cease control, right? So this is what we have been building like since 2018, but back then Chainlink automation doesn't exist, Gelato doesn't exist, so we had a token and we say, okay, when you create a backup, you pay with this token, and this payment will stay as a reward mechanism to anyone that will activate the transaction for you. So this was the tokenomics since the beginning. And when we create the FCT, we understand that this is how that this is the right tokenomics to integrate, because then it will give you incentive to monitor other people transaction and activate them. Now, in the beginning, we said, okay, we ask ourselves the hard question: why should we use Kirobo? Why don't use Ether? But then we understand that there is few problems with that. For example, let's say that me and you see the same transaction and we want to take this transaction and we fight over who is going to broadcast this transaction. So now, John, the user, pay more because the gas price is costing more, right? Because we fought, and one of us will lose money. So what we did with the tokenomics, we solved that very, very, if I can say, elegant way. That every time that you activate transaction, the next transaction you will not get a reward, and after few transactions you will start earning money until you reach your 100%. So there is no motivation for you to activate all the transactions, even if you're very wealthy. And also we had to, and by the way, if you hold a lot of Kiro as a like proof of stake, then the time to reach the 100% is much shorter than other.
I think we're skipping a bit ahead because we kind of are familiar with the Kiro token. But let's go to the basics. Okay, so there are so how the FCT works is that I submit a future conditional transaction, and there are certain validators spread out.
But where you submit? So the future conditional transaction that you sign is broadcast to a decentralized location, like IPFS, our server, and the activators.
That's where the conditional transaction is stored, right?
Yeah. So everyone can take this transaction and activate them. You can activate the transaction for you. You can activate the transaction to your customers. So you don't necessarily rely only on the activator. You still need to pay the fee, but you don't need to rely on them. So you can activate yourself, or the activator can activate it for you, right? So this is how the tokenomics, the transaction works.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now let's play a bit of game theory here, because we've seen a lot of MEV and front running in Ethereum, and how that the whole thing a bit of corrupts and ends up kind of hurting end consumers and making a better profit always for the miners. And in this case, we have the Kiro validators, right? And the question here would be if there is an incentive for, let's say, validators to maybe push for some transactions, maybe of high value or for a reason to kind of activate those transactions, even if they're because they're sitting on a pool, and is there a motivation for me as a validator to go see, okay, let's try to trigger some of these transactions because I see that there's a lot of value to extract.
Uh, so first of all, the user can define that he willing to pay more for a specific transaction, obviously, like you pay for the gas. But one needs to understand if the activator will activate or try to activate transaction that the condition is not met yet, so the transaction will fail. So he will lose money because he paid for the gas. So he wants to activate the transaction, but only when the transaction can run. Otherwise, it's just waste of money. So you sign the transaction like it's, transaction that is signed in the blockchain level. So you don't care. You understand? Like the
Mhm.
condition is there, and people will activate because the reward that you give them.
Right, right. No, this is pretty great, and I think you guys found a very interesting way to incorporate tool that was already launched into kind of the basic functionality of the system. Now let's talk a bit about the future, Asaf. What is it? What would be, first of all, want this to translate into practical tools and add some alpha for our audience. So what would be your most important tips when building in a project in Web3? How do you approach this?
Um, so first of all, you know, um, first of all, make sure that you have a market fit, so that people need what you are building. Like because to build, it's I don't want to say the easy part, but to build is the easy part. The hard part is to get the market fit. Now, even on this technology, people ask us, "Do you have a market fit?" And that make me laugh, to be honest. One VC asked me that, so I said, I don't know. Bring your portfolio company. Tell them, hey guys, you remember the budget that you're going to spend on the next 12 months to develop? Like, spend 5% of that and have the same result. And ask me if we have a market fit. So there is thing that when you speak with developer, when you are came across the problem yourself, and you ask other people and you understand that this is like a huge problem. So sometimes you understand it completely. I can say that we didn't even launch yet. We're going to launch in 2 weeks, and there is about 15 companies that actually wait for the SDK, and we are only working on Ethereum now, not even other EVM. They say, I don't care, like we will grow with you. Understand? So you see the need, and this is a huge problem to have a scaling blockchain, but not a scaling programming, if you know what I mean. And uh, I spoke with someone and said, listen, we have 5 different features that we want to build, but we understand that it's so much money and so much time that we never touch them. And I asked him, and if you know that you can build it in 2 weeks. So he said, of course, this was completely going to change the decision tree, if you know what I mean. So,
So your advice to Web3 builders would be make sure that what you guys are building has a practical use and has a real need for people or companies in the ecosystem. Or a very easy way to go through this is if it saves time, if it saves money, or if it makes money, those are three very simple, practical use cases that a Web3 builder should focus on when building their product. Am I on the right track here?
I think absolutely. There is stuff that I personally cannot, measure. For example, gaming. I don't know. I'm not a gamer. I don't know how to measure that. I don't understand how if people want to play with that. Or like I don't know how to measure that. But the stuff that you just said, this is exactly what I think. Like if it's save time, money, if it's help you to even go ahead before the market or reach the market, this is definitely something that people will use, and you will see that in the next 12 to 18 months.
This is awesome, Asaf. I've had a great time with you on the episode. Thank you for coming to the Web3 Creators Podcast. And if you have any final words of advice for our audience, or you wanna, where can our audience go check you guys out? Where are you guys?
So first of all, we have a website. We have Discord, Twitter, website. You can read the white paper and see example of code. We do have a beta that launched soon, so you can register to the beta. So we can open the no code for you, so you can start building your own FCT and start to understand the power of that. And what can I say? Like I do want to say to other entrepreneurs, this process was enlightening because we want to make sure that the user end up doing money and basically we end up building something else. But the process of to understand what is the problem with the product. We signed contract with other company. We have like $1.8 billion that already run on the platform, and to understand that you are not in the right track in the time and try to do, I told you the burning rate is $250,000 to take 1 week to brainstorm and another 3 weeks to understand. So this process cost us, like I invest in this process $250,000 and eventually it took us another 18 months to build. So
there's a saying that goes, strong beliefs loosely held, which means you need to go at it full time with all your belief, but you also need to be nimble enough to identify when it's time to change those theories or pivot into something new.
I think that you can ask each one of my team. I'm very opinionated, so I have a lot of I know exactly what I want, but 2 weeks later I can stand in front of the entire company and say, okay, what I said 2 weeks ago was completely nonsense. I was completely wrong. You guys right, and you don't have to. You shouldn't walk with your ego. You should always check yourself and admit in your mistakes.
Yeah, so keep yourself in check and do not fear to sometimes take words back and change what you said. Asaf, this has been amazing. I want to thank you very much for being here. And guys, go check Kirobo at kirobo.io. And I'm looking forward to have you again when you guys launch and when the beta goes into full public launch. I'll be happy to have you guys again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, Asaf. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Please keep in mind that none of what's said in this podcast should be considered financial advice. You are strongly recommended to do your own research and do not take anything we say in this podcast as a recommendation to buy or sell any assets whatsoever.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Web3 Creators Podcast. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all of your favorite platforms. And if you're serious about building your own Web3 business, head over to web3creatordojo.com and check out our courses. That's web3creatordojo.com. See you soon, creators.